Hey, 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 welcome back to Manifest Her. So glad to have you here. I'm Nikki Dimitri. That is the fabulous Brittany Lee. And this week, if you tuned in last week, we're going to talk more about healing. So stay tuned. We have a very good episode coming up.
Yeah, we're going to talk about healing just in different things that we've been through in our lives. There's different ways that we've healed from things like divorce. Nikki's had her parents pass, just normal relationships, friendships, anything big that we've had to go through and heal. Just talk about how we've done that.
Yeah.
So, how was your week?
I've had an amazing week. I've been
Yeah,
creating
me
some
too.
great things. Still birthday month, technically, too. So,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of going out to eat, and we've had some weather. Girl, the weather has been so
Really?
pretty. Oh my God. 75,
Oh my
full
gosh.
sunshine, gentle breeze off the river. Yeah, like,
That sounds magical. And actually, the weather's been really nice here, but really nice here is like 40s, maybe 50. I'm like, spring is here. I'm so happy. But dude, 75, that is the
yes.
dream.
Everything's in bloom. So
Oh,
we've been really trying to get out, did some gardening. Saturday, I went out
oh,
with our tenant. Her and I are becoming like buds. I love that
love
girl.
that.
Love
Love
her.
that.
Yes. And so she came over. She's like, "You want to hang out? It's a beautiful day." Girl, we was gone all day, like 8 hours.
Oh my gosh. I love that for you. I'm sad that she can't just like be there forever. It's
Yeah, me
like she's
too.
traveling, but I'm
Yeah,
glad you
she
got
is
someone
gonna
great.
extend though, hopefully, and be here a
Yeah,
lot longer.
hopefully.
Yeah,
And maybe she'll know other like traveling nurses, like she can recommend you guys so that at least it's like similar people, you know?
yeah, but she's fine. Girl, we did some
Yeah.
shopping, and so I was a little broke. I've been doing a lot of business things, and so Jensen gave me his credit card. He's like, "You could spend so
Oh,
much." I'm like, "Okay, babe." Girl,
love
I
that.
spent a lot more than what he said I could spend. I'm like, how do I explain So we got home
That's so funny.
and I came in and Jensen was asleep. So I ran out and told her, I was like, I'm gonna hurry up and put it all away before he gets up. He is knocked out. She's like, yeah, we're laughing. She's like, it's easier to like find a little at a time.
Yeah,
So I was like,
that's
yeah.
funny. Well, does he not look at his statement? Will he not see the
Oh, he
charges?
knew. No, he knew.
Oh, okay.
So he gets up and everything. And first of all, he got up quick. So all my stuff was still there, like a bunch of shit. And then we're like talking. I was like, babe, I spent more than you said I could spend. He's like,
Oops.
yeah, I know. I got a notification every time you were
Mm.
shopping.
He just keeps watching the notifications go up and up and up. I love that he wasn't texting you like, "What are you doing?" I said you could
No.
only spend
And
this
he was
much.
so calm. It felt like that
Oh.
Melanie moment.
I was just
What
gonna
day are you
ask if
at
you've
in
seen that.
Gracie?
I'm caught up. I haven't watched
Okay.
today's.
So yeah, it felt like that Melanie
Yeah.
moment where she's like, "Oh my god, he's gonna kill me and leave me," and all these like not quite that extent, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Oh my god, I spent all this
Yeah.
money. He's gonna be so mad. How am I gonna tell him?" You know, because I spent
Yeah.
money.
So the
And
Melanie moment, just to explain it to the people, she we were watching Melanie on Layer, and she was talking about years ago when she didn't have very much money, and she had miscalculated the currency. What's that called? Currency
the exchange
exchange. The
rate,
exchange rate. Yeah. Um, and so she spent more than she had, and she realized that she didn't have enough money to pay like for anything. She had like
anything,
$50 or
yeah,
something.
in
So
PayPal, it wasn't
yeah,
even like accessible.
yeah. So she had to find somewhere that they could stay for the night that didn't do like the credit card charges, the incidentals, whatever, how they charge more. So they stayed at like a cheap, gross hotel, and he like stopped at the store and paid like $6 for some chicken and stuff, and they grilled it and had a beautiful night. But she was like so scared that he was gonna come home and be so mad, and she was like, he's gonna leave me because she messed up. But he was so sweet and gave her so much grace, just like Jensen.
That was Jensen, and I came to tears with that story because it did remind me a lot of Jensen. And Yeah, he was great. He loved everything. I showed him everything one by one. He's like,
Oh,
yeah, like just so amazing and so gracious. And I'm like,
that's
oh,
cute.
thank you, baby. Thank you for letting me spend all that. He's like, let you. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah. Like, to him, it's like, it's not a let thing. Like, what do you mean, let you? Like,
yeah,
you
he's
don't need
so
my
great.
permission, kind of thing. And so I just love his grace and loved him that much more. So that was fun.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of new fun things all around the house. And then couple items for myself, and then we did some gardening, and our tenant gardened over there. So when she leaves, she's like leaving it better than when she came. She like
I
planted our
love
whole
that.
flower pot in the front. It was all dead and gross, and now it's like bursting with all these flowers of color that she bought, and it's just like so
I
beautiful.
love her. I would never do that if I was renting
Girl,
something. I
literally
would
making
not.
it better, like than
Yeah,
when she left it.
that's
On her own
amazing.
dollar. Like she's buying that
Wow.
stuff. Yeah, so it's just been great. And then Great Leap, obviously, we both started that.
Mhm.
So that's been amazing. I've been having a grand old time. I really enjoyed making the characters, for the game, and really been
Mhm.
enjoying the lessons and the stories so far, and kind of delving into that. And business wise, I am official. My business is official. I'm registered with the state of Utah.
Yay!
Yes, I'm a
So
business
exciting. Oh, so
bitch.
you registered it here in Utah?
Yep,
That's
I
good.
registered it in Utah. I've got my everything is fully set up. My address, my phone, my email, my EIN for
That's
taxes. I got
amazing.
to have a tax meeting with one of these specialists here soon. I got my business bank account. I just recently got approved for that, like Monday, I think yesterday. So I'm rolling. This is
That's
further than I've
cool.
ever taken any of my past few businesses other than Flowetry in Motion, which was many eons ago. And it's
Mhm.
even further than Flowetry. I never had a business bank account or anything with Flowetry. So it's technically further than I've ever gone, and it feels amazing.
That is amazing. I have all of that except for a business bank account. I'm waiting to till I'm making money in my business to figure that out because it's intimidating to go and do a business bank account. Like I don't want to go. I don't want to deal with it. So like until I'm making enough, I don't remember how much you have to make before you have to start like filing with your business, but until
Mhm.
I make that much, I'm not dealing with that. But I'm so proud of you because that is
Yeah,
a lot. It's a
it's a
lot.
lot. I'm super excited. Next is my funding. So I'll be securing funding. And once I secure funding, it's game on. So,
Yeah. I'm so excited for
yee.
you. I can't wait to hear all about it. It's going to be amazing.
Yay. How about you? How was your week?
That's awesome. So good.
You had a
I
date?
mean, I did so I was supposed to have a date. First of all, I'm so proud of myself for being willing to go on a date because I did not think I would be willing to. But so what happened, I was on the dating apps for like 3 hours a couple weeks ago and deleted them all. And then I was like, you know what? Hinge, it'll tell you everyone that likes you or messages you. So you don't have to necessarily swipe through things because that's what I don't like. I don't want to use my energy swiping through people and feel like it's the like masculine energy of searching for someone and like I don't care enough to have someone in my life to sit and search for it, but I want to be open to it. So I only got Hinge and I'm only looking at the people who like me. I have not swiped on one person. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
So that feels really good. And there's only been one person that I messaged back and I couldn't not. Like I showed you his profile. It was like
Yes.
meant for me. I was like, what in the world?
Yes.
This man,
Perfect match, what?
yeah, he has a podcast. He's done a TED talk. He is a motivational speaker. He's a coach. He's like all the things. And he's like so busy. He was barely texting me. And when he was texting me, it was like 6 in the morning. Like this was like a man putting in the work and doing the things. Like men are not up at 6 in the morning working and doing all the things, especially when it's not a job. He owns his own fitness company, so he's just doing his own thing and he's up texting at 6 in the morning. I was like, this is so impressive. But we
Yeah.
didn't have any deep conversations, which is fine. The more like I feel like we grow up and become successful and have our own lives, it's hard to just sit and talk all day.
Hmm.
Like I'd rather just wait to meet. I know he has the right energy. He had videos on his things of him talking, and everything was just like speaking to me. And I was like, oh man, I have to go. So we scheduled the date. We were going to go to the sound. So I was already going to the sound bath. And when he was talking about his weekend plans, he was like, maybe I can see you. And I was like, well, Saturday I'm going to sound bath if you want to come. The fact that he even knew what a sound bath was, I was like, okay, come with me. Like, that's fine. But so then Friday night comes, and it's like the first time we're not like in work mode, right? So he's texting me a little more. And girl, this man was texting to me in freaking pickup lines.
Oh, what do
He's
you
just
mean? Like,
like, I'm gonna need you to do a favor. And hold on, there was something before that. Okay, I can't remember exactly the pickup lines, but it was like straight pickup lines like, did you order some fries with that shake? Like, not, he didn't say that, but stupid
or
things
something
like
like
that
that.
are so
Yeah.
cringy. Yeah. So he kept
Yeah.
saying pickup lines of like
Mhm.
just these dumb things. Oh, he asked for a picture of me and he was like, are you certified by a chiropractor? And I was like, what do you mean am I certified by a chiropractor? He's like, you must be breaking necks. And I'm just like, what? No, you did not. No, you did not. And this was like message after message. Like there was no conversation. It was pickup
No.
line after pickup line. And then he was like, I'm going to need
No.
you to stop blushing so hard over there. You're going to attract all the attention. And I was like, okay, don't make me blush then. And he's like,
No.
I think I'm too late for that. Sir,
No.
you are not too late. This is cringy. This is not attractive.
No.
I am not blushing. And I didn't respond. I only put a little emoji of the
Yeah.
like sly emoji. And I was like, I am not
Yeah.
responding to this. And I feel like when you don't give men what they want, because the reason he kept saying that, he's trying to get me to say stuff about like, oh yeah, you're making me blush, oh I want to see you, like all this stupid stuff,
Yeah.
and say something back. That's what they want. They want me to feed their ego when they're doing
Right.
that, and I'm just not
Mhm.
going to.
Go
So
girl.
I didn't say anything else after that. I was like, and I was nice while he was saying all the things, and I was just like
Yeah.
laughing, and I wasn't seeming uninterested because I was giving him the benefit of the doubt of like, okay,
Mhm.
now you can move into a real conversation. Let's actually talk. He never said anything after that, after I just didn't feed into it. And then I was just
No.
like, so I didn't know if he was going to just show up because I did send him where it was and stuff, but we
Yeah.
hadn't talked. I was like, I'm sure he's not going to be there. I already planned the sound bath for myself. I'm just going to go. And if he
Mhm.
does show up, then cool, we'll go to the sound bath and then I'll just see. But I hope he doesn't. So I decided
Yeah.
to take myself on a date. So before the sound bath, I went to PF Chang's. I sat at the bar and I
Oh.
got myself some lettuce wraps and some fried rice. And I was living my best life. I took my book so I could read, but they were too fast. I didn't even have time to read more than a page, so I didn't read. But I was proud. And then I walked around the mall, and then I went to my sound bath, and the sound bath was great. The girl who did them, it was the same one that I went to with you right before you left, and I think her name's
Okay.
Mallory.
Yeah.
She gave everyone a rose before, so when we got
Mm.
in, there was a rose on every pillow, and it was the
Oh.
full moon one, so it was so nice. I had
Love.
such a beautiful day,
Love
and he did not
that.
show up, which I was very happy about. I didn't think he would because we hadn't said anything. I feel
Mhm.
like you kind of like when you stop talking to people, you get the like the vibe, and you're just like, this
Yeah.
isn't, and you like
Yeah.
both kind of fall off at the same time. It was like that.
Yeah.
But I posted on TikTok about it, and this lady was like going off about how like why didn't you just tell him that he was bugging you and that those pickup lines were annoying? And I'm just like, first of all, I haven't even met this man. It is not my job to tell a man what he's doing. If I sat and told every man everything they do that annoys me, do you know
Right.
how I would constantly be like, that's an ick, that's an ick. Like for
Right.
because especially in
Right.
the beginning, like once you're dating someone in a relationship, yeah, obviously be like, stop talking to me in pickup lines. But before
Yeah.
you even had a real conversation, that is not my responsibility. All that's going to do is make it so he acts different and I get to know a different version of him than what's real because that's who he is. He says
Right.
cringy things. So, like,
Right.
I'm not going to do that. So I was nice. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and then I didn't talk. And then she was like, you could have just been honest. And I'm just like, why? Like, now I don't have to say anything. We're not talking. He didn't show up. Why would I have gone through that? And she's like, you're not understanding the point. I'm saying you should have said it in the moment. And I'm like, you just don't understand that that's not my job.
It's just a lot of
But
energy too. Like it's
Yeah.
wasted energy, you
Yeah.
know? Like you said, you both pick up on the vibes. If he still wanted to pursue and not talk to you like that, he had every opportunity to do so.
Yes,
He
he
could have
did.
showed up at the sound bath, he could have did all the things, but if he's like, she kind of sent me the emoji, maybe she's not feeling my lines, this ain't gonna be right. But to me, if you're even talking in pickup lines, your intent is not really what I want it to be. If you
Exactly.
can't even talk to me and you're probably picking up on that, which means we're in more of a mutual agreement because it kind of just dies off. So
Mm-hmm.
why would you waste energy to like
Yeah.
make your point clear? And no, it's
And
not
have you ever tried telling a man anything that's constructive criticism? Like those type of men, I mean, not the ones
right.
like that we're choosing to date, but the men who hit up your DMs and like, are you kidding me? Do you know
Yeah,
how it can go from 0 to 100 so quick? You
yeah,
do not say stuff like that. You just
yeah,
let it play out, let it see how it goes. And that did not go well. After
yeah.
those pickup lines, I was like, this is not for me. I
Mm-mm,
gave it a chance. I tried. I was open to it. Yay, me. But I spent
mm-mm.
the day by myself. So
Yeah,
it was
which
great.
sounds nice.
It was. And I realized that when I start dating people, I get so like, I want to plan all the things for them and I want to give all the things. And on Saturday, I was like, I'm going to take myself on a date. I have to find something to do before the sound bath. So I was like researching all the things and finding exactly what I can do. And I just realized it's not necessarily that I want to do all of this for them. It's that I love to do that. I love to plan things. I love to put effort into stuff like that. That's just something that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I am now going to take myself on a date every weekend. Everyone always says like to date yourself, and I've never really resonated with that because I love to be home by myself. I do stuff for myself all the time. I spoil myself. If I want something, I buy it all the time. I am very spoiled. So I was like, I don't really get the point in me like taking myself out. I'm so happy at home. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
lonely. I'm fine. But now that I've done that, I'm like, it's the planning energy. It's the wanting to do something nice for someone. I can put all of that into myself. And I can pick, like, what day, if I was dating someone, what day ideally would I have my date nights be with them?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just manifest it that way and go on dates every Friday night or whatever. And
I like it.
just eventually that'll be my date night with someone else.
I
And
like it.
I think, like they say, if you make the room in your life for it, then it manifests it faster. So, yeah, I'm planning dates every weekend from now on.
I love that. I've dated myself. I don't know if it's more because I'm an introvert, that was
Mm-hmm.
just easier when I kind of heard of that idea, but yeah, I'm like, I've taken myself on trips, entire trips, like by myself, you
I'm
know.
scared. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Like I'll meet somebody there. Like I met a friend in Vegas before, but she had a whole different hotel. It wasn't like a trip
Mm.
together. It's like
Oh,
this
I
is
would do
my
that.
trip. Yeah, it's like this is my trip, and we can connect. We'll
Yeah.
we'll meet when
That feels
it's
safer
aligned.
too, like having someone around. I think that's a
Yeah,
good idea. I've
yeah.
thought about going to Vegas by myself. I think Vegas would be easy because I know it.
It is. You should try it. I highly
I think,
encourage it, especially now that you're starting your date nights for yourself. Once you've done that for a
yeah.
while, take it up a notch and go. It's close by, it's fun. You've been there. You've been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
To Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's something you can kind of navigate versus a brand new place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time because if I'm like, I want to take my kids to Vegas. Like, I want to take them to Cirque du Soleil. I want to take them
Hmm.
to magic shows. Like,
Do it for you,
I,
girl.
yeah, but it's just the money of it. If I'm gonna spend that much money, I don't want to go by myself. I want to take my kids.
But then it's less
So
money.
I know, but I don't want to. I'm not gonna do it. I want my kids to be with me. I'd rather spend the money and have my kids with me. If I had been on a vacation with them recently, I wouldn't feel that way. I try to do like every other year or something. But
Okay.
I've gone to Mexico twice since our last vacation. And because we went to Disney World 3 years ago. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just been, so I feel like I don't want to do another thing without them because
Feeling guilty.
I just did 2 trips. Yeah. I feel like they need
Yeah.
that too. So,
Well, when you do get to that, I highly recommend it
I will. I will
because
eventually. Just I
I
think right
love
now
I love
I'm
dating myself, I love doing things alone. But again, I don't know. I think it's just the natural introvert to me and loving
mhm.
myself and buying my own flowers for me. Like I love doing all of that. Now I don't really do it, but when I was single, I definitely did. So I like that
Yeah.
idea. I like that you're manifesting it and putting the energy, make it fun.
Yeah. It is fun. I'm very excited about planning dates cuz I it's just like when have someone that I'm dating, it seems like I put so much energy into it, but it's not that. It's that I'm so excited to have that to do and I want
Mhm.
to, but it's not for that person at all. It's for
Yeah.
me. And so now I can actually just do it for me. Which I think doing a trip by myself, I think I would probably because Vegas doesn't feel like I want to do it without them because like we're driving, so I don't have to pay extra for them to be there. I don't have to pay extra for hotel. It's literally just tickets and
Mhm.
food, so it's not that
Yeah.
much different. But I love the ocean, and I don't obviously get to see the ocean very much. So I feel like
Mhm.
I would like fly out to like Long Beach or something and just stay there for a weekend and then fly home and like sit on the beach and because then it's like I don't want to get two more plane tickets. I don't want to like
Mhm.
it becomes bigger where it's easier for me to just go for myself. I think I would
Yeah.
do that.
Definitely just do it. It's a different feeling. Like I was eating alone. Everything was, unless I met with her and her friend, like I was alone and I really enjoyed it. It was Super
Yeah.
Bowl. I was watching the
Ooh,
Super Bowl by
fun.
myself. I was going on shows. Like I was doing it all.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I would love to do
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna plan. Ooh, I'm gonna plan a trip for myself. I just don't know when. And I think the next one will be my kids. But after that, I think. Well, after that, then me and you were gonna go somewhere. But oh
Next
my
couple
gosh, my
years.
knee keeps. Yeah.
Next leap
Well,
year.
I'll get there. Yeah. Before the next sleep year. That'll be one of my 4-year goals. I'm gonna go on a vacation by myself.
There you go. I like it.
I'll add it. Which I'm loving. This program that we're doing is
Hmm.
basically focused on like the leap year. So the by the next leap year, where do we want to be? And I love thinking of 4 years.
Yeah.
Like what do I want to do in 4 years? I'm loving it.
Yeah, well, I just never really thought about that. I like what she was saying. Were you playing to win or are you playing not to lose?
Yeah.
Because I've been playing not to lose.
Yep.
I haven't been playing to win. Maybe at times
Me
in
too.
life, like if I look over my life, I think there were times without truly understanding the concept, I was playing to win, but there were a lot of times where I really was playing more not to lose. And so,
Mm-hmm.
really just getting into that, thinking about 4 years ago, 2020. Yeah, at the beginning of 2020, I was starting to create some great things. It's the last time I really had considered entrepreneurship, and my mom got sick. So I definitely was not playing to win that year. I was absolutely playing not to lose, and did still lose and lost all my life force, and had to start totally over. But what I'm understanding is that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Start over. You're not out yet. I'm really loving her analogy to the game. I've played games, and so maybe it resonates too a little bit more. I wasn't like a heavy gamer, but I've played. And so I can really see and visualize, and her comparing gaming to life makes a lot more sense for me and makes me a lot more encouraged going forward because it was hard. I've talked about it many times on this show, but last year when I left my career, I was in a deep fog and like down, spot for months. Not a depression, but it was not a good place that I was
Mm-hmm.
in. It was bordering that depressive depression that I've fought
Yeah.
with my entire
It
life,
was more like
you know?
not motivated, not
Yeah.
like it was trying to
Yeah.
get yourself out of the slump, but not necessarily deep depression.
Yeah. And so really just seeing that and thinking like, okay, what was taking my life force? What took those hits? Or this is a start over moment or that's a start, and it's okay, because I
Mm-hmm.
haven't completely lost the game. I'm still here, I'm still alive, so I still got a
Yeah,
chance to win, and thinking about things in that mindset is really encouraging and
it
motivating.
is. Yeah, that was really eye opening for me because I think in a lot of ways, a lot of things I do, I play to win. But when it comes to relationships, I do really well in the beginning. But the second I feel them like pulling away, like I start to panic and it becomes playing to lose because it's like if I was really playing to win, the goal overall is just falling in love, finding someone who's the right person for me. Like that's the overall goal, right? That's what I want to win. It's not necessarily this specific person, but when they start to pull away, I get terrified that like what if I don't find it again? What if like it's like I can't lose you. So I start spiraling and I act not
Mhm.
myself and out of alignment with everything that I believe in, and I get a lot of anxiety. But if I switch my focus on like okay, I'm still playing the game. I'm still have a chance at love. It's just not this person. And this person got me one step closer to knowing what I want, what I can find. It's just more evidence that it exists. And someday I'll get there. And
Mhm.
not that it's going to be really easy to live by that all the time, but it helps a lot.
Yeah. Just like I said, the understanding of knowing it's okay to start over,
Mm-hmm.
for me is big because that's a space I didn't give myself grace, in my younger years is it's not okay to start over. It's not okay to take so many hits to where you're just depleted and on your last bit of life force.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay. You got to be strong all the time and good all the time. And if you're not, you're doing something wrong, kind of thing is more of where I was conditioned and what I used to retell
Yeah.
myself. Whereas it's not, it's nothing wrong with me. It's nothing. This is just what I've created. I may have unintentionally created it, but I can still start over, and get back in the game and get stronger. And how she compares things to levels. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it all just really resonates with me when I think about the big things I've overcome recently in life that have slowed me down, but I've also allowed them to slow me down. And that's the point, is to learn the art of not letting things, totally knock you out. And if they do, if it's something huge, start over. It's
Yeah.
okay. You're going to remember
I
and be better at it the next time.
Yes, definitely. I love how she's compared it to a game. I really have loved how she's done this masterclass because it's
Hmm.
true. If you're playing to lose, then like you think about when you're playing a game and you go against like the boss at the end, right? Like you're not gonna beat it the first time. You have to work up your skills. You have to get up to it. You have to
Yeah.
fight all the other people before you get to that person
Yeah.
so that you have the strength by the time you get to that person.
Yes.
So like all of these little things, all that throw us off, all of this, like working through it and keep going, like that's how we get ready for the big like the
Yes.
ending, you know? And every time
Yeah.
like in a game, you die all the time and then you get up and you play again and you try to beat them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so when you're playing to lose, if you die in the game, like that's devastating because you're like, oh, or you're playing not to lose because then you lost. And then it can be like throw you off of everything. But if you're playing to win, then like you get up, you do it again, and you keep going and going and going until finally you beat them. So thinking
Yeah.
of it like that is so helpful.
And I really love how she talks about the NPCs, the non participating characters, for anyone who doesn't know. I've also played a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that in my life. And honestly, a lot of that I feel like it's just my upbringing, a lot of what I believed in religion and being indoctrinated within religion, because my perception was I was an NPC. I don't have control in my life. I just
Mm-hmm.
participate. I'm just here.
Yeah.
Somebody else got control. God, the devil, they got control, right?
Yep.
Ain't me. I'm just,
Yeah.
and so I really love that resonated with me because no, I don't want to be an NPC. She's like, your reward is life. That's what you get. You get to live. And
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, and that's what I've been getting. And I don't want just life.
Yeah. Because it can be easy. It's easy to just let coast by and have life be like
Yeah.
work during the day, spend time with your family at night, watch like it's easy. It was way easier than what we're trying to do. But
Yes.
it's not as fulfilling. It won't bring as
No.
much happiness. It won't bring as much success. It won't bring
No.
all the things that we want. So, but I don't totally get the NPC. So I when she talks about that don't be an NPC player, I understand what she's using in that context, but what
Hmm.
the heck is an NPC in a game? There's games that have non-participating players. Like,
Yeah,
what are
mostly
they doing then?
RPGs, like role playing games. So Skyrim, for
Oh,
instance, I love. Have you ever heard of that or played it?
mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a RPG. out there. It started out on the computer. Now I think it's on console. But you just run around and build your life, and you might go into town, and there's just
Oh.
people standing in town that are townspeople, and you can't interact with them. You try to talk to them, they don't
Oh.
respond. They just look at you. They don't really move. You could like run into them. You could hit them. They still just standing there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like in Sims, there's just like people in the
Yeah.
town, but they're not real people. They're
Yeah.
just fake.
Yes.
Okay.
That you can
Okay.
actually, even if you wanted to or tried, they're just there. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
think about it that way, those people, because I have seen, I haven't ever played Sims, but I've seen people play it, and I have seen them go up to people and they just stand there. And yeah, that would suck to be living your life like that. Like you're just a
Yeah.
zombie. Like they're
Yeah.
literally zombies.
Just
They're
but
just
that's how
sitting
I
there.
lived. Like I just
Yeah.
didn't like life happened to me. I was not in
Yes.
control. I was a non-participating character in the game of life. I just was out there,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And whatever life happened, it had nothing to do with me. Nothing. Zero. You know what I mean? Other than maybe how much I was sinning or being faithful to God. But God was determining that, right? That was my former perception. Like it wasn't me or like the temptations. Oh, that's devil. Like,
Right.
doing these things and the devil's out to get when really I have a lot more if I want, right? I don't have to be. A lot of people are NPCs in their own life, but right now I'm aggressively and actively trying to be player one. I'm in it.
Yeah.
I'm controlling the things. I'm creating with intention. I'm trying to get better. I'm willing to risk it to fail because that, just like if it were a game, you would do it. So I want to do that now, in real life because I would risk it all. Oh, I'm gonna die, it's okay, but I'm gonna risk it, right? If it was a game, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. I know this is hard, but I'm gonna do it because I want to get better. You really put it all on the line within a game, and then you're not willing to do that in life,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really eye-opening. I just love this analogy. It's ringing
Yeah, me
so
too.
true with me, and like I don't know where you came up with this, but I like it.
Yeah, I wonder that all the time. Like, where are you coming up with this? But she did mention that her fiance's brother is like a professional gamer or
Oh, that's
very
cool.
into it. So maybe they were all
Okay.
talking, and it's just like I feel like no
Inspiration, yeah.
matter what she's doing, she takes inspiration from it and she makes it like, oh, this is like this. Like the pineapple story was born from her being in Hawaii, going through a pineapple field tour, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden, like this super inspirational story happens. And I think
Yes.
I want to be like that. I want to like take everything that I do and put it in terms of like things like that can help other people. Like
Yes.
it's amazing that she does that.
Yeah. I've been finding a lot of my power ever since getting entwined with Melanie, and New Wave is where I committed fully. I've been fully engaged ever since, and I'm creating things that I want
Yeah,
instead of creating things that I don't want accidentally, you know?
exactly. I've been really proud of you. I've loved seeing you, like being in the programs with you and seeing you like post your stuff and like you're doing the work. And every time I see it, it just makes me so happy. I love being in there with you. I've decided like the femme fatale, I want it so bad.
Are
I
you
by
going to do it?
next year, I don't have enough money to do it right now, but by next year, because it's a couple
Manifest.
$1,000s.
Manifest.
Yeah,
Both of
because
us.
I
I'd love
think
to have it too.
yeah, I've been really focusing on being in my feminine energy. I haven't ever been very interested in that particular program because feminine energy hasn't been as important to me. But lately, I've been like really in everything I do. I want to sit back. I want to be feminine. I want to allow things to come to me. I want to manifest things. So I feel like I'm at the stage now, like I want it so bad. I'm manifesting it so hard because I know she's giving away like money in her thing. And I'm like, if I win enough to get femme fatale, I would be so happy. The
Girl, you
other one
did
I
it
really,
before.
yeah, I know. I've actually won from her multiple times. I have like all of her notebooks that are like, it was like $300 worth of notebooks that she sent me. And I can't remember what else I won some amount of money to put towards the program. I don't know, but I'm manifesting. I'm putting it out there. I want that
Love it.
program. I don't know how I could make it happen, but I
Yeah.
want it.
Yes.
And the other one I really want, not right now, well, maybe in a year or two. I really want the relationship program that she does.
Hmm.
Have you seen her talk about that one?
No.
Her and Kevin do it together.
Mhm.
And so it's for couples, or it's she also says it's for people who are trying to attract the kind of love that they want. So I think for me, for that reason, I would probably get it in a year or two unless I'm seeing someone. But
Yeah.
having so there's like a whole bunch of modules in there. I don't know how many, but there's a lot. And
Mhm.
then as like they grow together and in time, they add. So this year they're doing a new module, or they just did it, I think. So then, like, when they figure out new things in their relationship, then they'll keep doing it. And I want that one. I think it would be so cool.
I like that. That's a good idea. Manifest it, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Manifest all
yeah,
the things. I want them
yeah.
all.
So should we move into our
Yeah.
topic?
Yeah. Let's do. What do you think
Healing.
we should start with? What was the first thing that, like, you really had to, like, learn to heal through? Like, the one of the bigger things.
Mm. In life, or since I've been consciously trying to grow and introspect?
Either. Whatever you feel like would be helpful to talk about, and probably started with when you didn't have the tools yet, like something like maybe when you got
Okay.
divorced, like unless
Just
there's something
as I
before
kind
that.
of think and kind of go over my life, the first thing I think I had to really kind of heal from was like judgment. I always wanted to be accepted. I was a real people pleaser. You know, if people weren't happy with me or around me, or if it was a group of people and they weren't happy with each other. And so that, I think, which I believe stemmed from, I was really bullied a lot in childhood. So I kind of roll those two together because it carried on. You know, I
Mhm.
was bullied, and just wanted to be liked and just wanted everyone to be happy and like me. And that carried on into my adulthood, you know, where I just always wanted everyone to like me. And people usually don't. People are mean, you know, and it seems like the more you
Yeah.
try, sometimes the less they do, you know. And so, yeah, that's kind of one of the big things I'd say prior to having tools, and younger me was not looking for that validation in everyone else. They
Mhm.
don't have to like me. They don't have to like what I do. You know, the people that do are going to come to me. So, but I didn't understand that at my young age.
Mhm.
I definitely looked for validation in others. What
Yeah,
about you?
definitely. I think I love that you started there because I think that's what like most women struggle with. It's a really big thing that even now I sometimes struggle with that in certain situations,
Mhm.
because we do want to be loved, we want to be liked, and when you're not surrounding yourself with the right people, you can feel like you're not liked, not cared about, not like you don't fit in, and it's just the people you're surrounding yourself with. And
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
really only learned that a couple years ago because I changed
Mhm.
my people, and it really changed who I am. And
Yeah.
now when I walk into a room, I still feel like I hope they like me. I hope that I'm not like I don't want to embarrass myself, but it's not as difficult because I feel like the people I'm about to go see, like if I do catch myself having those thoughts, these people would never judge me. These people support
Yes.
everything. They love me for exactly who I
Yes.
am. You have to be able
Yes.
to have the right people so you can tell yourself that, because there's times when I go somewhere where I know those people don't love me wholly for who I am, and I have a
Mhm.
hard time being there, and I have a hard time with my own energy when I'm around them. So
Mhm.
for me, finding the right people is the biggest thing, and like self-love, like that, everything comes down to that. You've got to spend time with yourself, you've got to be okay on your own, you've got to
Yes.
know that you're beautiful, you have to know that you're everything, you have to be
Mhm.
your number one fan and love everything about yourself, which takes so much work.
Yeah.
But then once you love yourself, you also need to be around people who also love you.
The thing about validation, and I love everything you said, and just to kind of expand on it a little bit more, but thinking of younger me that always wanted validation, you know, a lot of times I sucked, seek. What's the past tense of seek? Seeked?
Seek, I would seek out. That's what I'd say. A lot of times I would seek out. I don't know the past tense of seek.
The past
Seeked?
tense.
I don't
But a lot of
know.
times I would seek out the validation of men specifically. And
Yeah.
that didn't leave me feeling very good. And I often was in uncomfortable situations because of it. And so what I was saying is just like the thing with validation is people don't tend to respect you. They do tend to take advantage of you if they realize that, right, about you.
Mm-hmm.
And young me being also naive, I didn't know. And I thought the best of people. And you don't want to think they're trying to take advantage or manipulate you or the situation. And so once I finally, and I mean, I was way older before I really made that claim to myself and said, you know what? I can validate myself. I don't need to seek validation in others. But it took me a lot of my life to realize that and claim that. And claiming it and doing it and believing it are two different things. You know, that was just the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of me starting to claim that. And then I had to live that, through. And so I feel really good today where I don't seek that validation, especially going through Melanie's classes and she reinforces that. But man, young me, that was one of the first things I had to learn to heal from and validate yourself or seek it through your higher power, whatever that may be. If it's
Mm-hmm.
God, if it's the universe, if it's the trees, Mother Nature, yourself, your higher consciousness, whatever your higher power is to you, seek that out and seek that validation of who you are and why you're here and that you're loved. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think along those lines, after a divorce, I think it's a particularly hard time when you just want to be loved and you want to feel wanted. And that's why, they talk about the hoe phase after going through a divorce. That's a real thing. And I think, like, it is, you want to learn how to seek validation, but I think there's times in your life where you do just need to build your confidence again. And you don't
Yeah.
have to feel bad when you are in that period of your life where you are seeking validation. You've got to try to give it to yourself, but also after a divorce, like, I was just so low. I put down for so long, and I really had a hard time with the fact that I was just like dating like crazy, meeting new guys all the time, and I thought something was wrong with me because I was
Mhm.
just out sleeping with everybody. Like, I mean, not everybody, but more than
Yeah.
I was comfortable with. So I got therapy. I went and talked to this therapist, and I told her I feel like something's wrong because I am just like not having my worth. Like, I'm just allowing all of this stuff that doesn't mean anything to me. But she was just like, maybe that's what you need right now.
Mhm.
Maybe she was asking me like if I know what I even want or like when it comes to sex, and I didn't
Mhm.
try anything with my ex. I had no idea. She was like, so maybe you need to watch porn and you need to see like what interests you. What kind of fantasies do you want to have? And then figure out
Mhm.
like with people, like experiment. And like she made me feel like nothing was wrong with me. And it was just a phase that
Mhm.
I needed to go through. It literally only lasted like maybe 2 or 3 months, and then since then, I've only really dated or been like seen 4 or 5 guys in
Mhm.
years. But in that
Yeah.
few months, there was a lot. And it's
Mhm.
just phases. But you've got to pull yourself out of that. Like, you don't want to get wrapped up in that. But if you're like at your lowest low and you're looking for validation from other people, just recognize that that's what you're doing and recognize
Mhm.
that you've got to pull yourself out of it when you're ready to pull yourself out of it.
Love it. What's something else that you needed healing on?
Um, the biggest thing, I like really went back and forth about even talking about this because I try to leave certain things not on here. But I think it's one of the really big things, and I'm gonna try to explain what happened without saying exactly who it is. But there was is I'll just say like within my family, like being judged. Like, I a few years ago, after my divorce, there was a time when my oldest daughter had told her dad that she didn't have any shampoo. And so he texted me and he was like, I think because when we first moved out, him and his now wife would come over to watch my kids and they would use my shower in my basement sometimes. So he was like,
Mhm.
I think I left some shampoo in the basement. Will you give it to Haley? And I was like, I mean, I can, but why? Like, and he's like, well, she says she hasn't had shampoo for weeks. So maybe you should take care of that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what? Because I just bought them shampoo. Like, and I have a
Right.
whole bunch of bottles of shampoo under my sink. She never told me. So what
Mhm.
happened was I gave them shampoo, but I gave it to my youngest daughter, and she told my oldest it was for her and she couldn't use it, and nobody ever told me that. So she just
Mhm.
wasn't washing her hair for a couple weeks, and I
Mhm.
didn't know. So obviously that day she had shampoo. I didn't know. But my ex husband called some people in my family and told them he was concerned that I wasn't taking care of my kids. They weren't eating well because, and he said they weren't eating well because when he did come over to watch my kids in the day, it was because he insisted on taking them out of daycare, and that him and his girlfriend at the time would come over and watch them while I went to work. So they were staying in my house. This was a last minute change. We pulled them out of daycare. I didn't have groceries in the house because they would be at daycare, I would be at work. I don't need breakfast and lunch in the house, and I knew
Mhm.
what dinners I was making, and I didn't have to grocery shop for a few days. But there he took it as there's no food in the house and I'm not feeding my kids. So he's telling my family that I'm not feeding them, that I'm not taking care of their basic needs. So then my family starts showing up at my door to like check on me. And there was one day when two people came over, and I was working from home. It was a Sunday that I was at the time. We didn't always work from home. It was only on Sundays we could work from home. So I'm working, and one of them shows up and they're like, "What are you having for dinner? What do you like?" They're walking through my house, making sure my house is clean, talking about like, do they have everything? And then finally he's like, I they told me that their dad also was saying that I favored one of them, and so they had gone through all of my Facebook posts to see if I had posted. And they're like, and I noticed that you post happy birthday more for Addison than for Haley. And I'm like, no, you're just blocked from most of my posts. But if you want me to pull it up, I can show you. I just happen to not have you blocked on those ones.
Mhm.
And it was just like I sat there defending myself in a way that I've never felt I have had to in my life. And then the second person showed up coincidentally. So then they both came in and they were
Mhm.
just hounding me, naming every single thing that in their eyes made me a bad mom. All
Mhm.
of the things I've done. Most of it was not even real. And
Mhm.
I like had to fix what they were thinking. But they just I literally sat there, Dickie, being just like every fear, every like when you're a parent how hard you are on yourself.
Yeah.
Every single thing other people are saying out loud, even things that didn't even exist, just
Mhm.
telling you what a horrible mom I was. And I was just like, this is horrible. So I'm like screaming at them. It got to the
Mhm.
point where one of them, I kicked him out of my house. Like screamed. I had to tell him to get out of my house. Like,
Mhm.
so they left. I didn't talk to that person for like 6 months. They blocked me when they
Mhm.
left. And then the other person, it wasn't as bad, but still to this day, I can barely stand to talk to them. They're my family, and they allowed my ex husband to come between our relationship and trusted
Yeah.
him over me. And it is one of the worst things I've ever experienced. And healing from that I'm still working through that. I still can barely stand to talk to them. And
Mhm.
I've really had to try hard to think of it from their perspective. Like, in their perspective, they want to make sure my kids are taken care of and that they're
Mhm.
safe and that they have all of their needs met. And if someone is raising concern that my kids' needs aren't met, I'm grateful that I have people who love them enough to make sure that they're taken care of, because I know that if I needed the help, if I said I don't have money for clothes, I don't have money for food, they would have helped me with it.
Mhm.
But they went about it entirely wrong. The fact that it came from my ex-husband, who feels like he can still talk to my family and have everybody hate me, it was brutal. It was brutal. So I think like the only thing I really have learned that I could do is try to think of their perspective. Try to have gratitude that they love my kids so much. But I mean I am still not healed. I don't know really how to make it better than it is. I feel like it's as good as it's going to get.
Would you say you're not healed or the relationship's not healed? Which way would you kind of perceive that?
Both. I can barely think about it. I have like right now it's really hard. Like my hands are shaking. I can
Oh,
I'm not okay from it at all.
yeah, that's
It's
a tough one.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't even know what to say. It destroyed my soul. I've never had anything that was like soul crushing happen to me in my
Mhm.
life except for that day. Like truly I lost two of the most important people in my life, and I see them a few times a year, but I'm not okay. And our relationship is not okay. They don't know that. They think our
Yeah.
relationship is fine. They wish that we had a better relationship. They told me that they
Hmm.
wish that we had a better relationship and they want to work on it. And I'm just like, that's fine, I'll work on it. But I told you back then I lost my family members that day, and I
Yeah.
meant it.
Yeah. I
So,
remember that actually happening. And so seeing you go through it and relive it so vividly, yeah, that's rough, because I love you and I obviously don't want you to have to go through those things. And it's like reliving it, from my perspective again. And regarding the healing from it, I just want to talk about my perspective on what to do with healing if someone else is maybe involved in hurting you, like in your situation, because that can happen in a lot of ways, right? And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that story that was really traumatizing for you. And so, for anyone listening, maybe you're like, well, I don't know how to heal. I'm like, Brittany, what do I do if someone has done something to me? Whatever that may be, because we all have our various struggles. I experienced, which I'll be just a little vulnerable. I won't go into super detail, not on this episode, maybe on a future one. But I've experienced a lot of sexual traumas, in my life. And so someone else was involved, obviously, in causing me those sexual traumas. And so that was hard. How do you heal from someone who has
yeah.
done something to you in that manner? And I didn't for a very, very long time. And that's just one of it, right? Like I said, we've all had our things and gone through various traumas. And for me, it came down to, which is hard to do, um, but putting blame where blame is due, in a sense. So I feel like when people do things to me, a lot of that, I just got to say, you know what? Them doing that has nothing to do with my healing and who I am. And, you got to like start to separate the two and kind of waffleize the two, because as a victim of various things or situations, I feel like you take that on and you're like, what did I do to deserve that, kind of thing, or why me, right? Where you're kind of taking that on. Whereas you just got to separate. It's not like a you did anything, right, to deserve that or to have that happen to you. Sometimes people just do the things and that's them and that's separate from you. You can still heal and move on. And at some point, ideally, forgiveness will come. Now, depending obviously on the nature of what has happened, some people find they can never forgive, and to each their own. But I would encourage you personally, because my belief, again, having gone through my own traumas and learning to forgive and put blame where blame is due and separating and really filtering just the things out, which takes time. It's not an overnight process, it really takes some deep work to get into that. But learning to separate that out and saying, you know what, I can forgive you, and that's okay. You don't have to call them up and say, I forgive you, or face to face say, I forgive you. You can write it on that letter and burn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And purge it that way, whatever works for you, or maybe just mentally sit quietly with yourself. And you know what? I can forgive you for that, but not for who you are, just for what you've done to me, kind of thing. And it just gives you a different kind of peace where they don't have that hold over you. Again, this is hard. I'm not saying this is easy, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
something a lot of people can't do it, again, depending on the nature of what was done. But I've had some traumas and I have managed to forgive. You know, it took time, it took work, it took a lot of praying, and maybe leaning on my higher power again. If you have a higher power, if you don't, maybe seek one out or seek someone, you know, that is a good, what I want to say, support, like support for you if you maybe don't have a higher power or believe in that kind of thing, but you need something outside of yourself to help you through that trauma so you can learn to forgive, is the takeaway. Because
Mm-hmm.
holding on to that trauma, it literally only poisons you and hurts
Yeah.
you. It really does. You're not hurting anyone. Do you think that person is sitting around worried, sick about the things? And no, even the story that you just told, do you think they're sitting there shaking and traumatized over the situation? No, right?
Yeah.
part, and that's why I asked you which one's not healed. You can heal yourself from it
Mhm.
without necessarily healing the relationship, and maybe that in time will come, because healing doesn't mean you're exactly the way it was again either. You
Right.
know, it just means you're not traumatized by it.
Mhm.
That's the healing. It doesn't mean we're best friends and buddy buddy and never happened and that's healing. No,
Yeah.
healing means I am not traumatized. I can talk about this and say I have fully moved on and forgiven you, because you're not going to have that power over me. And so, yeah, for a person to get to that point, I really believe you just got to dig deep. For me, it was meditation, it was reading the Bible, it was prayer, it was introspection, it was thinking about the situation from different angles, you know. But yeah, ultimately finding that forgiveness and just kind of, and I've never contacted, these things happen to me. I've been sexually traumatized more than once, unfortunately. And um, no, I haven't contacted the people, but I'm healed. I moved on. I can
Mhm.
talk about it without breaking down, but not at one point I couldn't, you know, because I
Yeah.
wasn't healed from that. So,
It's a hard thing. I think so. This year, when we wrote the letters and burned them, I did write a letter to them, and it is the first time that I really tried to think of it from their perspective, which did help a ton. And I think that it doesn't like I used to think about it all the time. I used to feel like I had to prove that I was a good mom in everything that I did. And I think I definitely have healed a lot. It's
yeah,
like when I think about that day specifically, if I sit and think about it, that's when I am like sick to my stomach and I can't take myself back to that place. That's very difficult. But in
yes,
my daily life, I don't think about it very often. I think for the most part I'm healed from it. The relationships I don't think will ever be the same. I talk to them, I love them, but I can't ever totally forgive them for what happened. I mean, I couldn't go to work for like a week. So my best friend had to bring me like stuff so that I could eat. She brought me treats. She brought me like a blanket. Like I had to be like taken care of. And when you have things like that happen, it's just sometimes it takes time, and it has
time and
been enough
willingness.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you have to try. You have to want to work through it. And
yes,
I haven't really, until this year, I haven't wanted to work through it. Like I've tried to avoid it. And I think that's why I don't feel as healed as I could be, because you have to face those things. And I
yes,
just started trying to face it and trying to, I have no desire to talk to them about it. It will just cause another fight, but I need to get myself there because it sucks to still feel impacted by that. Especially, I'm an amazing mom. I'm an amazing mom,
yeah,
especially
you
now.
are.
Back then, I had to learn. And in a lot of ways, they had a right to question me. I wasn't the best mom, but it was just the fact of like, letting my ex-husband feel like he had that power over me. That's
Yeah,
the I it was horrible for me.
yes.
So,
I
things
like
are
that you said
rough.
you have to face it, because you can't. I'm a big fan of crime shows, which I think I've mentioned before in one of our episodes. And as many crime shows as I've watched, and the horrible things that people do, and I've seen some of those families that are affected and left behind forgive the perpetrator,
Mhm.
and that's deep, right?
That is
And
deep.
so just taking that in, again, for whoever's out there, there's murder, right, there's all kinds of ways somebody can hurt you, but if someone can be affected by like a murder or a heinous crime and still forgive that perpetrator, that's God. Aren't we all trying to do that? What a world would we
Yeah.
live in if we could all get ourselves to that? That's, to me, is Jesus's love. If you don't believe in Jesus, it's still
Mhm.
the love of the higher power, period. It's a love that supersedes us in our human flesh, and that's what you got
Mhm.
to rely on. A lot of this healing, I'm not sure how to speak to you outside of spiritual on some level, because I'm a very spiritual person, not necessarily religious, but
Mhm.
there needs to be a higher power of your own understanding, whatever that looks like and is to you, to help you through these things. And if we could all do that and love the way Jesus loved and forgive the way Jesus forgives, come on, this world would be a better place. We'd be paradigm
Yeah.
shifting out here, you know?
Yeah, it's very
So,
impressive that people like I think about like the people who have someone murder their child and like how do you I don't think I could forgive that. I am not that strong of a person. But it's very impressive. I am not a very spiritual person. I do tarot cards and stuff. I have like the frequencies and energy, but I don't ever think of anything as like giving pulling from like a higher power to like I don't know how to explain. Like I don't have anything in my mind that's like, well, God and like Jesus, like there's a purpose and you have like they are always there for you. Like that type of thing. I don't have that. It's more like my mindset and thinking of like how I can be positive, how I can learn from this, how I can grow from this, how I can um apply things that I've learned from this situation to other ways in my life. And like I have to like think through things in that way. I don't ever think of it in a spiritual kind of way when I'm going through things.
I like that because our listeners need to hear that. Because, like I said, I can't
Mhm.
speak to that. I am deeply spiritual. I am very connected to God. I do believe in
Mhm.
God. I ain't afraid to tell nobody nowhere, anyhow. Whether
Mhm.
I call him God or whether I call him the universe or whether I call him my higher consciousness, God is God is
Mhm.
God. And I do very much believe in it. Deeply ingrained in me. So any advice you ever hear from me on this show, it's going to be a spiritual perspective, but you want
Mhm.
another perspective for that because there's atheists out there, there's agnostic people that are out there,
Mhm.
right? And so I'm glad that you're not right on that same level. That way you can speak to them from your perspective and what has helped
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? Not being a deeply spiritual person because people
Mhm.
need to hear that as well.
Yeah, I still think like people have to have something. They have to because I to me it's just the universe of like I think that I get messages from the universe like through my tarot cards or through like other things and I think like so it's still a spiritual, it's just not in the same way. I think I'm agnostic. I haven't really looked into it. I don't really know very much, but isn't that like when you just don't know? It's not that you don't believe, it's just that you don't.
Agnostic, yeah, you're kind of neutral on it versus
Yeah.
atheist, you straight don't believe in God.
Yeah. So I'm not
Agnostic,
like
you're kind of
that.
indifferent about
Yeah.
it.
That's how I am. I just don't really care, to be honest. And I think
Mhm.
that for me, I have some trauma around religion when I was young.
Mhm.
Talking about God and Jesus like that, it traumatizes me. I don't
Mhm.
like to even really have conversations around it. And it's not like hearing like you talked about that doesn't bother me because I everyone can believe whatever they want. But when people are trying to have a conversation with me about it and ask me to go into like defending my beliefs or like talking to them about it, like things like that where it's a deep conversation about it, I just want out. And that's because I had some experiences when I was younger that I want no part of it. So it's just a I have to think of it differently or else it feels negative to me.
So I looked up agnostic for everyone out there. It is a person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence or nature of God or anything beyond material phenomena. So you don't believe in the
Hmm.
unseen as an agnostic, a person who claims neither faith nor disbelief in God. The second uh, definition for that, I don't know why I was at a loss of words. A person who has an uncertain or non committal attitude towards something. So
I don't think that describes me either because it's not I don't only believe in material things. I believe like the universe, the frequencies, the energy, the it's just
I
God
think the second kind of
specifically.
definition of it, where you're like, I don't necessarily believe or not believe, might be a little
Mhm.
more fitting, or kind of
Yeah.
again more of the indifference definition
Mhm.
of it. But
Yeah, I definitely believe in something more, just not specific beings and stuff. And I'm not against it either. They could absolutely they could exist. I
so yeah,
just
I think
don't
that's
connect with
agnostic
that.
because you
Yeah.
don't believe or
I
disbelieve.
think
You're like,
that's the
I'm just,
closest to
yeah.
yeah. Probably a little more spiritual than agnostic. I always just say like when I have a thing that like I have to fill out what I am, I just put spiritual because I am spiritual in just different ways. So,
Very nice.
yeah.
What else we want to talk about?
Um, let me think of I think really when it comes to healing, anything that we could talk about, I think it all really comes back to our love of ourselves and that's where you have to start to heal. Um maybe like the death of when, because I have lost people in my life and we've talked about that before, but not, I haven't lost a parent or someone like as close like how you have. And I think no matter how much you love yourself, that's going to hurt. That's something you have to work through. So maybe how did you get yourself through that when your parents, your
God.
brother, all those people's passed?
For
Yeah.
me, it's all God.
But so how? Like, how do you, what about God makes you get through it?
um, he gives you peace, when you don't have peace. And in case anyone, this is your first time listening or you're not too sure, but to this day, I've lost my brother, my sister, my mother, and my father, as well as a best friend. So I've experienced some significant traumas there and definitely had to find healing, from all of that. And for me, honestly, it was leaning on his love, which is kind of my theme. If you heard me talking about resolution, revolution in my kind of context for the year, it was love. But to expand upon that and kind of bring it to today, it's God's love because it's so much greater than us. God can love me through my healing. God can heal my heart. He
Mm-hmm.
can get in there and take away the pain, even when I can't. For me, you know, it was not a healing. And when I experienced severe heartbreak, when we were talking about the relationship episode, and I said I begged someone to stay with me, and he didn't. He essentially spit in my face, and kept it
Mm-hmm.
moving. And I was broken. That was one of the most heartbreaking times I've ever been in my life by a man. And so, yeah, for me, I had to lean on God's understanding of the situation, on God's understanding of why this is happening and what am I to take from that, and on God's strength because I was weak. So for me as a spiritual person, that's how I'm going to speak. I wasn't strong enough. I was weak. I wanted to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
Those were times that came up that I wanted to give up and kill myself. And why am I even here? There's no possible way I and my flesh can go on. But I believe in my spirit and I believe in my God. And I just had to really go in, and pray and ask God for the strength and the way to go on, and
Yeah.
he started showing me that, which can come in different ways. It can come in the love from another person, it can come
Mm-hmm.
in the love for yourself, it can come in, a smile from a stranger, it can come in a kind act from someone. So there's a lot of different ways that you can start to rebuild, but anything like that, it's through God that's sending that to me. And Jensen, for my mom specifically, who died, and my brother, I was with Jensen. And so for me, and for maybe anyone that doesn't want a God context, Jensen was a big piece of that for me. Now, I will say, you know, to me, it was God through Jensen and the Jensen in God, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not Jensen as a human. It's not, how did I find Jensen? All that's God. I found
Yeah.
Jensen and I found each other in the midst of losing our mothers, both of us, the same exact year. His mom died first and then mine.
Mm-hmm.
And we found love in that. That's God's love, right? That helped me to heal and get through that trauma so much faster. Love. So for me, healing equates a lot of it to love. Wherever you're finding that love, wherever you can dig, wherever God is going to send it, or whatever resonates for you, love is the greatest healer.
Mm-hmm.
And it transcends all, it transmutes all unwanted energies to pure light. Love has that power. Love has the power to forgive. Love has the power to go on. Love has, you know, everything where you can just pick yourself up and keep going, even when you don't think you can. And so Jensen was very pivotal in being there for me, throughout my mother's. I remember coming home from Pennsylvania right after my mother died, and we had just buried her. And Jensen picked me up from the airport. We weren't even dating at that point. He was just acting in a friend capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And he created such a safe space that I was able to heal, and I kind of cocooned in there. And I just needed to be in this cocoon of love. And he let me know it was okay, whatever it was. If I was okay, if I wasn't okay, if it changed day to day, if it changed moment to moment, it's okay. And he
Mhm.
had that cocoon of grace and safety and love that I was able to heal inside of that. And that's how I moved on. And then I lost my brother, and he did the same thing again, you know. But that for me, because you lose your parent, don't nobody know what to say to you. Ain't nobody helping you to heal unless they've
Yeah.
been through it. Literally, no one knows what to say. They try, you know, but it doesn't
Mhm.
resonate. And half the time, especially me as an introvert, I just want to introvert and kind of block the rest. Thank you for your wishes, but I'm not talking to you right now. And Jensen was one of the only few people that I talked to, you know, because he
Yeah.
did know what to say, and he did know how to treat me, and he did know how to act, and he did know how to show that empathy and that love. And so that's how I was able to heal from my death of some very close loved ones, you know, was
Mhm.
through that love.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you had him because when you were in Pennsylvania, it was hard for me to know what to say to you. We didn't talk very much because it felt like, what am I gonna do? Text you, be like, "How are you doing? I know you're having the worst time," or
Hmm.
like, I knew you had people around you, but I just truly I didn't know what to say, so we didn't talk very much until you came back. But I was so glad you have them. And I think that the key to all of it, I think you said perfectly, is love. Because even though it's not like, to me, I don't look at all of that as like God's love. It's love. It comes like and if I think about like the universe has a plan for me. The universe, like, I don't think it's only me. I know that there's a plan for me, which gives me a lot of hope to heal. But I also do like rely a lot on other people to feel love from them, and sometimes you don't have other people to feel that love, so that's when, like, I feel the love for myself.
Yes.
And it really just, it can come from so many places. But everything, I resonated with everything you said, other than like I would just exchange the word God to something else. But it's
Hmm.
exactly how I feel about everything. I know that there's the right people. The other thing that really helps me a ton, which I never thought I would really connect to, but it is tarot. Because I do believe the universe like will have you see the right card of like the what you're supposed to see in that moment. But even if you don't believe in that, I think tarot cards have a way of making you think about things in a way that you couldn't think about them on your own. And you can see different perspectives and you can think about it in different ways. And it helps me when I'm having a really just bad mindset about things, and I'll pull a few cards, and it really pulls me out of it because I can see like a bigger perspective than myself and the negative thoughts that are going on in my mind.
I like that. What else? What
Yeah.
else you got?
I don't know. I feel like everything I can think of, it goes back to the same thing. You really just, you have to start with loving yourself. You have to, that's the first relationship you need to heal. The first things you do, make time for yourself, do things that make you feel good, no matter how much it is each day that you can do. Just do what you can and find love for yourself so that you can start working on healing the other things.
Yeah, I guess that would be the one takeaway really in healing,
Hmm.
you know, whatever the healing is that needs to be done, you know, whatever the situation, whatever, if it's a person, place, or thing you need to heal from, or a situation, you know, you've got both of our perspectives. So hopefully one of these resonate with you. Again, you can always reach out to us personally
Hmm.
and talk to us more. Either one of us are willing to, you know, guide you through. Brittany is technically former life coach. I don't know, but
Yeah.
she's good at the
I
coaching,
still
is what I'll
consider,
say.
yeah. I still feel like I just am naturally, I feel like a coach. I just don't have the time to do one-on-one coaching at this moment in my life, but I love helping people, and so does
Yeah.
Nikki. And if you have something, even if you want to be anonymous but you want us to talk about something so you can get a different perspective, we will talk about anything you want us to. So
Yes.
just let us
Yeah.
know. We are definitely always here for anyone.
Yay.
Yes, thank you so much for watching all of this, for going through this journey with us. We just love having you guys. I've been getting so much feedback from people. I've been feeling so happy, and I'm just really, really grateful. I know Nikki is too. But Next week we're going to talk about parenting. And me and Nikki, I think Nikki has older kids. They're men now. So she's been through all the phases. I have some barely teenagers. And I think we're really good moms. We have really good relationships with our kids. And so I think we've been through a lot of things. We've learned a lot. And I think we have good advice in our own perspectives of parenting. So that should be a good conversation. And yeah, so that'll be posted next Tuesday. And make sure that you're liking, sharing, doing all the things to help us. We appreciate you guys so much. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.